Hi, thank you for watching Friday Fat Chat. Welcome to the Fat Women of Color channel. I am Ivy Felicia, the body relationship coach and founder of Fat Women of Color. If this is your first time to the Fat Women of Color channel, just to tell you a little bit about Fat Women of Color, we started on Instagram as a platform to provide sisterhood, support, and sanctuary for Black and Brown women of size. And so when we say women of size, we mean a lot of people will say plus size, curvy, and of course, fat. We created the Friday Fat Chat in order to give a space where Black and Brown women of size, fat women of color can share their experiences, their knowledge, their stories, their insights, and their perspectives. And so if you're watching this now, you are a part of Friday Fat Chat. So thank you for watching. You can participate in the show. You can share your thoughts, your comments, your feedback by just dropping your comments in the comments below, whether you're watching on Facebook or watching on YouTube. We definitely want to hear from you. Feel free to tell us what you like, what you love, share love with our featured guests as well. Also, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, which is Calabash Tea. The Fat Women of Color offices are in the Washington, D.C. area. And so Calabash Tea's home is in Washington, D.C. as well. They've been here for over 25 years, and they are a sponsor and a supporter of Fat Women of Color, and they sponsor Friday Fat Chat. And the way that they do that is that they provide this discount code, which is FWOC. And if you put FWOC for Fat Women of Color, and when you check out, they'll actually give you a discount of 10% on any order. So not just your first order, but every time you order from them, they'll give you a discount. And then they also donate a portion of the profits to Fat Women of Color as well. And so what that does is that helps us pay those Black and Brown women of size who work for Fat Women of Color. We have people like right now, we have Yesenia, she's in the studio. It helps us compensate and pay. So we want to stand by what we believe and pay Black and Brown women of size. And so you can help us do that by buying from Calabash Tea. They are also a BIPOC owned business. So they are owned by Black and Indigenous people. And so everything that they sell there, they have tea, they have coffee, they have incense, they've got Palo Santo. So they have all kind of stuff there for you. So take a look, even though it's warm right now, we're in summer. They've got bottled iced teas. They've got all kind of good stuff there. So for any season, wherever you are, you can find something good there. So make sure to visit calabashtea.com. All right. So with no further ado, I am excited to have our featured guest be here today. All of our featured guests that we've had on Friday Fat Chat have been featured on our Fat Women of Color channel on Instagram, and this guest is no exception. She's been on our channel. She's always supporting Fat Women of Color on Instagram as well, and even on her own Instagram, she's doing plenty of activism as a plus size creator and paving the way, blazing the trail, making all kinds of noise, as well as creating space for fat women to show up in the world. And so we're going to get into that conversation today. But welcome, Jae'Lynn.
Hey there.
So
Hey,
happy to have you.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me on today. I'm really, really excited to sit down and talk with you guys.
Absolutely. So can you tell us where you are? I'm in Washington, D.C. Where are you?
So I'm in Washington State. So over here in the PNW, I am in Vancouver. So that's like 15 minutes away from Portland, Oregon. So right there, kind of right in the middle of Washington and Oregon. And yeah, we're having a heat wave here. So it's real hot, but having a good day so far. So yeah.
So Washington meets Washington.
Yeah. Right.
Well, on two different coasts of the United States. So that's really cool. Now, have you always been there? Did you grow up there? Is that where you're from?
Yeah, so actually, I was born here in Washington in a small town called Richland, which is in the Tri Cities. It's about 4 hours away from me right now. But I actually grew up, I say I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, because I lived there until I was about 12 years old. And so that's where a lot of like my, childhood took place, or where I had my, youth years really. And so then I moved from Phoenix to Dallas, Texas, and I was there for a total of like a year. And then I've been in Washington basically ever since.
So it sounds like you like the heat.
Actually, I don't, but I know I'm right. I'm here. I'm smack dab in the middle of this heat wave, and Arizona was obviously very, very hot too. But I actually prefer cool temps. So
Okay.
yeah.
So would you ever move to a cooler part of the world, or are you staying there on the west coast of the US?
Oh no, for sure. I want to move. I'm actually looking at the East Coast, so I actually kind of want to come over in your neighborhood, kind of check out things over there. And it's my dream to live near a warm beach, and here we don't have that. So I thought about a bunch of different places that I would love to live eventually, for sure.
Nice, nice. Well, yeah, come on over to the East Coast, see how it's how it is living here. I don't know if I'll be here when you get here, but
Oh, really? Are you thinking of moving yourself?
I don't know. Like I'm open. I'm open to whatever life has to bring, right? I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many opportunities out there. I have been on the East Coast most of my life, so
Okay.
I'm willing to switch the coast. I can go to the West Coast, you could come here, and there we go.
Right? Yeah, we could meet somewhere in the middle, something like that.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So I'd love to know. I like to ask our guests, just so that our listeners and our viewers know who they're talking to, and just a little bit about your experience and your framing of who you are.
Yeah.
Have you always been a person of size? Have you always lived in a larger body?
Yes, I've been in a
Okay.
larger body my entire life. I do come from a body diverse family, though. My dad and his side of the family are all usually in larger bodies, or most of us are in larger bodies. And then on my mom's side, they tend to be in smaller bodies. So I've kind of grown up around both, cultures and things like that. So, but yes, I've always been in a bigger body myself.
And I love the terminology body diverse family. I love that. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
right.
mental note. I'll give you credit for that.
Thank you.
Now, did you come up with that terminology yourself, or did you get that from someone? Did you hear that somewhere else?
I would say I just got that from, realizing, getting into my body acceptance journey, and, kind of trying to familiarize myself with the movement, and just, what, culture I did grow up in. Now, I would say back then I couldn't have told you that I was a body diverse family, but now,
Mm,
being a creator, being in this, realm of this world, learning different things, that's how I choose. I think that's the best way to identify, coming from a family that isn't just plus size, maybe straight size or both or anything like that.
yeah. So in the work that I do, just personally, I do body relationship coaching, right? So that's about how people relate to their bodies.
Yeah.
So I'd love to know, before you got to this point where, like you said, you're recognizing that you're coming from a body diverse family, and you're embracing the term fat, and you're doing all this plus size work. Where did you come from in regards to your relationship with your body? Like, have you always been comfortable in the body that you live in?
Definitely not. And so it's been a learning process for me. It's been a journey for sure. Actually, like I said, my mom is straight size, or, average size. She is probably at her heaviest, like 150. And
Mm,
unfortunately, that was my family is where I experienced my first, like, fat phobic experience. And
yeah.
so coming from a plus size, like half of my family being plus size and half of them not being plus size, I would say that, having that fat phobic experience definitely had a really big impact on how I felt about my body for a long time. And I would say my true body acceptance journey started after I got right around the time I was graduating college. I moved out of a household where I'd been living with some family friends, I guess you would say. And after that, I started really doing more work on myself, and really starting to process through trauma, process through everything I've been through. And so that is when I would say the work really started in me loving my body. But to be honest with you, dating back to when I was 7 years old was my first fat phobic experience. And that led to, basically, by the age of 10, I absolutely hated my body so much that I would cover it up. Trigger warning, just saying, I will be talking about some stuff like that. So I actually did not like my body. I was ashamed of it. My mom was really ashamed of it, and that contributed to how I felt about myself. And now I'm in a completely different state. And I also used to think that the size that you wore would determine how happy you were. And
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm at my biggest right now, and I'm actually the happiest I've ever been. And
Wow.
I've processed through the most, trauma and everything. And I'm the most healed I've ever been. So now I love my body and I try to help others learn to love their body, but it definitely did not start out that way.
Yeah. That's a powerful evolution, right? Even to come from a background where that didn't necessarily exist in the environment that you came from,
Yeah.
that understanding of your body and that relationship with your body, and to be in that place now. And then also for you to say, I'm the happiest I've ever been.
Yeah.
And I think that people who are fat phobic can't even conceive that, that concept of like, how are you the happiest you've ever been?
Yeah.
So what does happy mean for you? Like when you say I'm the happiest I've ever been, what does that mean?
To me, that means I'm the most myself that I've ever been. I'm allowing
Mm,
myself to just accept every part of me, whether it's accepted by society or not. I'm learning to accept myself. And I would say that I'm finally living my truth. I'm finally sharing stories I wanted to share for so long, sharing things to
mm,
help other people. And that to me is what really fills me, is being able to help other people and use all that pain that I've experienced and turn it into greatness and spread positivity in this world. And so to me, the ability I have now to help people, the platform that I have to help people and speak on these issues that aren't, spoken on enough, I think that is what fills my soul. And so right now I'm the happiest. I do have pulmonary hypertension. I was just diagnosed a few years ago. And I would say that also was a huge turning point in my body acceptance journey and
mm.
realizing that my body is strong no matter what size I am. It's gotten me through all of my worst days, and that right there makes me happy. And I want other people to realize you can be whatever size, you can have whatever going on and be the happiest version of yourself, even though that's maybe not what society expects from you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to know a little bit more about like how you identify, just so our audience understands that too. So, like, what are your identities? How do you identify?
I would say I'm a plus size woman of color living in a marginalized body. I'm living with several chronic illnesses and disabilities. My pronouns I use are she and her. I would identify just as someone in a marginalized body, a woman of color, living in a marginalized body and trying to share my experiences, but also recognizing the privilege that I have because I am a mixed woman, and recognizing that my skin isn't super dark and that sometimes I'm mistaken for something that I'm not, or perceived as not a woman of color. So I really try to stress that I am a woman of color living in a marginalized body with disabilities that are, pretty new to me. And just, I like sharing my experiences with my audience, and learning how to identify myself is actually something that has helped me in my journey to accepting myself. So those are
Mm,
key identifiers, I would say.
yeah. So you're saying learning like how you identify yourself has been a really important part of your evolution. Why is that?
I would say just realizing like who you really are. And so recognizing it. And there are things that like I felt my whole life that I couldn't really put a word on. And this, fat liberation, body liberation movement has helped me realize who I am and has helped me really relate to things I felt my whole life, but actually put words to them. And so being able to really acknowledge like this is who I am and I accept these parts of myself has helped me, just figure out who I am and how I can, show up in the world, and what I can do to help people, and how I do show up in the world, and how my content is perceived, or what the things the words I say, the things I do, how that's perceived.
Mm-hmm. And I see like for those of you that are listening or if you're watching, I see right now you're wearing like the Mixed and Proud shirt.
Yeah.
So that's an important that's obviously an important part of your identity.
Yeah.
So when you say mixed, when you're talking about being mixed and proud, like where does that part of your culture come into your identity and just the evolution of who you are?
Yeah, so identifying as a mixed woman of color is something that I'm really, really proud to do now, because growing up and stuff, I knew I was mixed. I knew my family made it, certain people in my family made it very clear that I didn't belong in certain areas, or that I was in a certain category or something like that. And so at first, it really hindered me, and I didn't understand what made me so different, or
Mm,
why I didn't really feel like I had a certain group that I could cling on to, or, feel accepted in. And so realizing, who I come from and being proud of it. And I've always had lighter skin, and so the whole like team light skin or things like that coming up, that really is what, for a long time I really felt I didn't belong in one group. I didn't know who I could lean to, or who was my community. And so realizing though, I've met so many people of mixed race that feel the same way, or feel that
Mm,
they've experienced certain things where you don't really know who your community is, but you can find community in both. And so that's really just saying, you know what, yes, I have lighter skin, but I am a mixed woman. I'm proud. I'm a woman of color, and that should still be acknowledged, and that is still how I identify, but I am a mixed woman. So sorry. So that's kind of how I like to identify and what it means to me to be, of mixed race.
yeah. And so I heard you say mention that you found your community. Where did you find that community? Because there's a lot of different identities, like you're saying, being mixed and being a woman, and then also being a person of size or being a fat person. So how did you find like community that embraces all those different parts of you?
Yeah, so I found community when I was actually, I would say, on what I thought was my deathbed.
Mm,
After graduating college in 2018, I got really sick a few months later. You're supposed to be in like the prime of your life, but my life completely changed. I went through a journey where I kind of lost who I was. I kind of started forgetting parts of myself, forgetting all the great things about myself because I was sick. And so I kind of had started giving up. I didn't know, at the time, my illness, which is now pulmonary hypertension, I have an official diagnosis. Back then, it was untreated. It was undetermined. We didn't know what was going on, and the doctors couldn't figure it out. So they thought I was, we didn't know if I had the chance of living or dying, or how long I was going to have to live, because we didn't know what was happening. And so it was actually from basically being bedbound that I found community online. I
mm.
started building a platform online, and I didn't even know what it was going to end up being. I just knew, hey, if I don't have much time left on this earth, I want to help as many people as I can and tell my story that I've been wanting to tell forever. So I decided to get on Instagram, and I started Jbay Productions. And I had no idea what I was doing at first, but through just, figuring out and connecting with people, that's where I found my community. So I don't necessarily have the, typical community here in person, but I've found community online. And by talking to others, I've learned about my illness. I've learned about, where I come from more. I learned about the fat acceptance movement, and, who started it, and who's, been a huge player in this game. And so that is, fat women of color are the reason that we have, the body positive movement. And so that is where I found community, and that is where I began to really educate myself on what it's like to accept your body.
Yeah. That is super powerful. Just listening to your story and sort of like what led you to community, and just having that determination of, even if I don't know what's going to happen in regards to, my health and my body, I want to connect with people, and I wanted to leave a message, or because at that point you thought you were on your deathbed.
Yeah, I really did. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what was it? I heard you mention Jae Productions. So what was that for you? Like, what was it that pushed you to create that? I know you kind of shared a little bit about it now. What was it that pushed you to create it, and what is Jae Productions about?
Yeah, so Jbay Productions started out just as my personal brand. People who I really connect with always, and like in my day to day life, would call me Jay. And so I was like, that's really who I identify as is Jay, and Jae'Lynn. And but I wanted to, kind of put a fun spin on it too, which is where, and I had a nickname Jae Bae for a minute, so I was like, okay, I'll just roll with it. And the productions part, kind of, it's something that I'm like refiguring out now, and kind of moving over to Jbay Official, which where it's just me. It's what I do, is it's just a personal brand. But Jbay Productions kind of started out as, I knew I wanted to make content. I didn't know what form it would be in, but I wanted to create something to spread with people, to send a message. And so I kind of thought, okay, well, productions. And I really wanted to start out with YouTube. I really wanted to tell my story, sit down, tell my story, and get everything out there, and just see how many people I could help just by simply sharing. And so that's kind of where Jbay Productions came in. But like I said, I've been now kind of switching to Jbay Official, so you can find me on, on both, on social media. But Jbay Productions is just simply my personal brand, or what, my message is with the world, kind of just everything I think and everything I want to create all wrapped into one.
What have been like some of your most rewarding moments of creating Jae Productions? Like, since you started it to now, whether it's, your funnest, your most fun moments, or your most enjoyable, or even your most impactful moments.
Yeah, I would say that my most enjoyable moments are, honestly, they happen in my DMs. It happens
Mm,
like someone will reach out to me and need advice, and I can sit there and I try to be very personable. So I try to respond to all the DMs I get that are really needing help or seeking advice. And it gives me that ability to see what people need help with and realize, wow, if someone had this question, I'm sure so many of us have it. And if I can be real, in my DMs, I need to just be real and show up like this all the time. Because if I do, then I can help as many people that need it. And so some of my most rewarding moments have happened in the DMs when someone reaches out about something they're struggling with or something they need advice on, or telling me how my story relates to them and how they feel comfortable in their skin a little bit more now just because they see me being comfortable in my skin. So those would have been some of my most rewarding moments so far. But I also have had, features like with you, Fat Women of Color, that, when it's really an impactful platform, that's when I feel the most rewarded, when I can really, what my words have power, my words have meaning. And I can use a platform and collaborate with someone amazing to just spread a message of acceptance and loving yourself and all those good things.
I love it. I love it. Right now we're doing Fat Girl Summer. It's summertime right now.
Yes.
And we're doing Fat Girl Summer on Friday Fat Chat. And I know that you submitted all kinds of pictures and like your bikini and those things. Why do you think it's important for fat people to, like, they don't have to, but if they want to, put on the bikini, try on the bathing suit, put on the shorts, whatever it is, but to like really get out there and live?
Yeah, so for me, it's important to show my body because I'm not your typical, plus size or woman of size. I'm on the extended size a little bit. I usually wear size 30 to 32, which is kind of getting into that extended size range. And so for me, it's important because I know I had no one that looked like me that I could look up to that wore a bikini or, who that even felt comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable wearing shorts when I was a kid. And I went through a period of time actually in my life where I hated my body so much, or I at least that's how I thought about it at the time because of everything going on around me and the things that were being said to me, that in 110-degree weather, I would actually cover up in a jacket all the way zipped up to my neck, just hide myself as much as I possibly could because I felt like I had to be ashamed because of my size, even though I didn't really internally feel like I didn't understand what was so wrong with my body or why it was different or why I wasn't accepted. I just knew that my mom didn't like it or that my grandma, my great grandma didn't like it, or, these people thought something of it. And so to me, it's important because I had nobody, like a lot of us said, I didn't have anybody to look and see, like, see, she feels comfortable wearing a bikini. Why can't I? And so I just want to be that, I have cellulite, I have jiggly arms, I have a, tummy that hangs and all of that. And if you want to wear whatever you want to wear, you should feel comfortable no matter what. And I think just showing, young people, young girls, or people in general, hey, we only have one life to live. Just wear it. Just feel comfortable because at the end of the day or at the end of your life, you're not going to look back and think, man, I wish I would have covered my body up more. You're going to think, man, I wish I would have just done whatever I wanted and lived my best life and wore whatever I wanted because my body's worthy just the way it is.
Yes, I love it. Yes. It reminds me, earlier today, I saw my mother and I had on a tank top and like palazzo type pants, like real flowy pants or whatever. It was hot to me, so I was trying to be cool. And I got in the car with her and she was like, oh, you have on your tank top. She's like, it looks so pretty or whatever. And then the last time I saw her, I had on some sort of tank toppy type thing because it was hot too. And she said, she's like, I remember when you refused to wear tank tops and when you would never wear your arms out. And she was like, look at you now. And I was like, oh, yeah. Because, it's like you go on the journey and then it just becomes a part of your lifestyle. And you sometimes forget where you came from. But when she mentioned that, I was like, yes, I remember it would be summer. And like you said, I felt like I had to have a bolero or something because I got my grandmother's arms. So I've got like, my jiggly arms hanging, bat wings, whatever they call them. And so I wanted to cover them up and, just all the things. And at some point I was like, I just remember at some point I was like, there's like way too many options. I'm not covering up all these outfits with like jackets and boleros. It's hot. I'm not doing that either. And even like for my wedding, I wore like a bustier type thing. It was like the whole top was out. I was like, look, I don't care what y'all think, but I'm coming wearing what I want.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't realize, I think people who do not live in a larger body don't realize the struggles that we've been through and how society can make you feel like you can't just exist in your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really true. And it's sad that that's how, society has made us all feel. So,
Yeah. And that's why what you're talking about, it is important, like you said, for people to be able to see, like, if you want to wear the shorts, wear them. If you want to wear the bikini, wear them, or not, whatever
yeah.
it is that you want to do, whatever it is that makes you comfortable, do that thing, whatever lights you up. Because some people do feel better, want to wear modesty or whatever, for whatever their reason is. Nobody has to be forced into anything, but as long as you're not doing it because you're worried about what society has to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I love too, is just you can do whatever makes you feel the most comfortable. That's what I stand behind, is like, you want to show the skin, show the skin. You don't want to, don't. Whatever makes you feel good and makes you feel like your best self when you go out, or when you're doing whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you talk about Jbay Productions, what are some of the goals that you have, or even like you're saying with Jbay Official and the things that you're doing online? What are some of the goals that you have for your brand, your following, some of the messages that you want to get out there?
Yeah, so my message really is all about accepting yourself. So self love, self acceptance, and really just, realizing who you are and accepting yourself at every single stage. So whether you have a ton to go, you want to, get to point Z, but you're not there yet, accepting yourself every single step there, and feeling confident enough to chase whatever dreams you have is another thing I really, really try and, stress to my audience and my followers, is like, I want them to feel so confident that, and get rid of all that self-doubt, that self-hatred, all of that, so that they can chase whatever dream they may have, whether if it's small, big, or anything in between, whether it's just wearing a bikini or wearing a summer dress with no cover up, or if it's chasing your dream and trying to work with a brand that you absolutely want to, and showing people that you can do it at any size. Because for me, truly, like, we see so many people doing their thing right now, and that's amazing, but like, when you see a size 30 doing it, I want to show
Mhm.
people that you can do it no matter what size you are, and work with all the different companies you want to do. You can do exactly what I do if you want. You just have to go after it and feel confident enough in yourself to just show up exactly as you are, and just own that no matter what. And so that's really what I want. Those are some of the things I try and really incorporate into my personal brand. And I also try and show diverse advertisements. So when I do work with companies, I like showing that, hey, they will support you. It doesn't matter what size you are. They'll work with you, and you deserve to get paid if you work with them, and you deserve all of these different things. And just showing people that you can seriously do whatever you set your mind to. And that's really, you got to go after your dreams and just feel good enough in the skin you're in. So, and then some of my personal goals, like with the brand, is I want to help as many content creators that are in the plus size world as possible. So
Mm.
I know there's so many plus size creators I know that have come to me saying, I've been wanting to work with a brand, but I'm scared that my size will limit me, or something
Mm.
like that. And so I try to help with, social media coaching and showing people exactly how I do it so that they can do it too. So that's really one of my big, big goals. And then, sorry, if you know about Fab Fat Fierce, my Fab Fat Fierce apparel, I have some merch that I sell there. We go up to sizes 5X. But my overall dream right there is actually to have my own plus size, size inclusive brand one day. So carry like extended sizes. One day I want to carry up to like a 15X. And so working towards that goal and finding the right vendors and working with that to make sure that everyone has accessible, like, access to all kinds of clothing. Because I know that's something I've struggled with, is the limited options that we have. And then if you do have options, sometimes they're way out of your price range. And so I'm really focused on trying to build my brand and do that, and kind of go into that segment of the world too.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you mentioned, creating your own brand for extended sizes. Because when you mentioned earlier extended sizes, I wanted to ask you then, just what, because I know just finding plus size clothes alone is a thing.
Yeah.
But anything above a 2X maybe like, is even more complicated, because most brands, they'll say, oh, we're plus size, and that means like extra large, maybe double X.
Yeah.
And then they kind of stop there. So what has been your experience? Because I know like on your social media platform and in your photos, you have on all different kinds of outfits and clothing and things like that. So what has been your experience in finding those things, those outfits and materials and stuff?
Definitely. So I have found that a lot of brands, like you're saying, really don't go above a 3X. And that's kind of, I mean, that's what you're really seeing nowadays is you'll have a few, or like a few select brands that go up to maybe a 4X or maybe even a 6X, but it's really hard to find brands that go up, above that are actually affordable. Because I know of some brands that they may carry it, but you're looking at like $200 for,
Yes.
something like that. And not all of us can afford that. And I know I've come from a place where that was not always an option, not even close to an option. And so I've been really trying to do my research. I try and do research for like a ton of different things. When people come in my DMs and ask me online, I've been really trying to research all the types of brands, what, options there are for up to 6X or even up to like a 15X. And there are some options out there. You just got to really dig. So now I'm kind of working on that process of giving plus size recommendations, finding plus size friendly brands, plus size friendly products, and things of that sort. And so, but my experience with the clothing is there's really like a select few that will carry up to above a 6X or up to a 6X. And so it's just really taking that time to, I mean, like you got to really crawl through the internet sometimes to try and find some of these places. And so my goal though is if I can find them and then let people know about them, at least then we're creating more accessibility and you don't have to do the research yourself. You can just go, to my blog or to my Instagram or something and find it there so that it's not super hard to find. And so that content has also been really driving my passion. And I know earlier you asked me about what kind of content's most rewarding. I love helping people find plus size friendly recommendations on brands or products. I've been doing a little series like that on my TikTok, and it's been really helping people. And I just love getting those messages that are like, oh my gosh, thank you, because I've been looking for this. And so that really fills my soul too.
Yeah. I mean, that for people who are listening, why does it matter, right? Like the work that you're doing as far as like extended sizes, going up to like a 15X. I think those are things that sometimes people might not even think about, like needing that accessibility. So why does it matter to create this?
Yeah, so to me, I believe it matters because there isn't enough information on it out there.
Yeah.
I know for me, even when I'm doing this research, I'll be researching just one website or one product for like 2 or 3 hours. And so, kind of collectively bringing everything together in one accessible place so that not everyone has the time to go invest into doing this.
Yeah.
I have the ability and I have the privilege to have full time to invest into it, but not anyone else does really, or not everyone else does. And
Yeah.
so by me finding these things and making these resources available, it's showing people they do exist. And I've been in several different stages. Like I've been plus size my whole life, but I haven't always been extended size or, different sizes, or I haven't always had chronic illnesses, or haven't had to always use, oxygen, therapy and things like that. And so showing that, hey, these are things that are out there. This does exist. There are people that need it. Just because it's not out there readily accessible does not mean there aren't people at home that need it desperately. And so knowing that, and I mean building that community too, because once I do one plus size friendly recommendation, everyone starts telling me, oh, I need this, I can't find this, I've tried, and then I can go and help them find it or try to get them a little bit closer to where they need to be. So
Yeah, that like anything, giving people knowledge and information and making things more, just the accessibility alone is powerful, and it's empowering, because it matters for people to be able to practice self-expression, in finding clothing that makes them feel good, or being able to dress in the way that they want to, like we we're talking about, bathing suits and shorts and those kind of things. I even know just finding, like you said, t-shirts above maybe a 3X, but seeing you like in your mixed and proud shirt, it's like, okay, there's something out there. on the surface of the internet, you can't find it. But to know that there's someone out there digging deeper and saying, okay, this is where it is, and I found it, and here's a resource and a way that you can, you know, get these materials, get get this clothing and things like that if you need it.
Yeah, exactly. And my thing is, I actually made this. So this is from my brand
Okay.
at Fierce Apparel, but that's something I love to do is like if it's not out there, let me find it or let me
Mm.
create it or let me, do whatever, but let me know you need something and I can get it for you. Or that's kind of like what I'm trying to do is, be a helping hand or be that voice I needed when I was younger or, help people that I know are out there needing these, but maybe they're too, they feel kind of like they don't want to ask or they, there's a lot of people that'll come into my DMs that don't want to publicly say something or, they're not there in their journey yet. They're not comfortable with voicing certain things or saying they need certain things. And I'm okay with being that person that'll publicly say, hey, yeah, this is the thing. You need a, camping chair that has 1,000-pound capacity. I can help you find one. You need, a sleeping bag for, your camping trip that fits, really comfortably plus size, and I can find one, and things like that. So just if it's not there, I'll find it. Or if I can't find it, I'll create it, whatever it is, just to make sure that everyone in this world like has an opportunity and has access to the things they need, because I didn't always have access to even just this information that it existed. So knowing that it's out there, I think really empowers people to feel like, hey, I belong in this world too. This world's not, it doesn't have to exclude me and I can be accepted just the way I am. So
I love it. Yeah, we've been talking about that in other episodes about how the world subconsciously sends messages that tell you you don't deserve to be here or you shouldn't be here or you shouldn't be seen by limiting those resources, right? And limiting our access to those resources, like you said, for camping or office chairs or just, all different kind of things that you just need in order to exist or in order to thrive in life. And by not having those things be easily accessible, it's sending that subconscious message that, you should change, which is why a lot of people get into, changing their body size intentionally and things like that. I've heard so many people say that they opted to go for dieting because they got tired of not being able to fit and literally fit, not just fit in like, oh, I don't fit in, but
yeah,
literally their bodies would not fit in places and they couldn't find accommodations that they needed. And so if we can, find these resources for people, then people don't have to feel this obligation to change their body or to change who they are. And if they choose to do it, it will come from body autonomy and not from body shame.
exactly. I love that because that's exactly how it should be. And I definitely understand that like feeling like this world it's not a place for you. You don't fit in here. But instead, you should have accommodations and anything like that in between. And honestly, I think once I got sick, and once I became very chronically ill, that's when I started to really open up and see, wow, there are some things in this world that aren't made yet for people of size, and we need to change that. Because if we don't change it, it's always going to stay the same, and that's not what we want. That's not why this movement started. We got to make change, and we have to be loud about the things we need. And it's going to take some of us stepping up and saying, hey, this is something we need, and we got to do something about it, because this is something, the way we feel, this isn't just us. There's so many people feeling this way, behind closed doors that are not, willing to say something. And I've been there. And so I don't want anyone to ever feel the ways that I've been made to feel. And so if I can just share something that'll help them not feel that way, then by all means, I'll share it all day long.
I love it. I love it. Like, we don't need to change for the world. The world can change for us, right?
Exactly.
Like, let's get these things popping and moving. Like, people don't have to continue to shape shift themselves to
Yeah.
exist in the world. There's enough resources here
Yeah.
that we can have access to the things we need.
Exactly. Like you shouldn't have to fit the clothes. The clothes should have to fit you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Now I know when I looked been looking on your Instagram page and like the things that you're traveling. So
Yeah.
like let's talk about your traveling, like what's going on with that. It looks super exciting.
I'm super excited about it. And just even having this opportunity is something I've been waiting for my whole life. I grew up in extreme poverty, and, where I come from, people, don't leave the country. That's something you dream of, but that's not something you get to do. That's not
Mm,
something, people like you do or things like that. And especially then when you're a person of size too, then that
Yeah.
brings a whole new realm of into it, like, oh, people of our size aren't allowed to travel, or they can't travel
Mm,
comfortably, or they're shamed. You hear so many stories about being shamed when you're traveling, that
yeah.
it makes us feel like we can't. And we deserve the right to travel just as much as anybody else. So I personally love traveling. Before I got sick in 2018, my fiance and I, we went on a couple really amazing trips. And before that, like, our relationship kind of started off of going on road trips, and that's something we love. And so traveling was a huge piece of our life. And then a few months, like I said, after I graduated, I got sick. My life changed, and shortly after that, I became someone who has to use oxygen. So I was put on oxygen, and my diagnosis is incurable. So it's something I'll live with for the rest of my life, and I possibly will have to be on oxygen for the rest of my life. And I thought that would limit me, and that I would never be able to travel again because of it. But now I'm realizing there are so many things, and anyone can travel, honestly. Like, if you want to do it and you put your mind to it, you can make it happen. And there are accommodations that you can have. There are so many different things out there. And so recently I was actually approached by this amazing company, and they talked about me hosting like retreat kind of. So teach some workshops, live your life, do whatever, make a trip completely around what you want, you want to put out into the world. And so I decided, like, I wanted this trip to just be made for anybody of any ability level, whether you're in a wheelchair, whether you can walk, whether you need to take a few extra breaks, whatever it is. I wanted anyone and everyone to feel comfortable. And so I chose an itinerary that is accessible, that will have, wheelchair buses with wheelchair lifts, things of that nature. We're going to do activities that are fat friendly. So, not like these crazy hikes where you're expected to, do something, or you're scared that you're not going to be able to keep up or whatever. And so we are going to be, my first trip I'm hosting next year in May, and we're going to Bali. So
Mm.
Bali, Indonesia. It's been a dream of mine, and I'm really, really excited. So far, I've had a bunch of interest in it. People that are, disabled, people living with chronic illnesses, people of size, just saying how excited they are that this is even something that's, available now. And so I'm really, really excited for this new endeavor, and I plan on making these trips a regular thing now, so that all people can have the, ability to travel with a group that'll empower them and lift them up and make them feel good while they're traveling the world.
I love it. I love it so much. It's like making me verklempt, like teary eyed and everything, because it's like, I don't think that people understand like how much you can feel excluded. Like, especially if you Instagram scroll and you see people taking these pictures and they're like, by the beach or the whatever. And it almost, the majority of the time, it centers smaller bodies. And so, unless like there are a few fat specific travel, but not many.
Yeah.
But it centers smaller bodies. And like you said, when you think about the activities, I have actually looked at trips before, activities before, and looked at the itinerary, and it's like, oh no. No. Like, because, and you already know, like, why am I going to pay for this when, like, a third of the things I'm not going to be able to do, or it's going to be uncomfortable or inconvenient for me to do. Or like you said, there's going to be like this, because they'll be like, oh, and we're going to hike for 2 miles up the mountain. And it's like, and even if I can do that, I'm going to need, like you said, multiple breaks, or people around me who can like know that I'm going at a different pace than them, or like you said, for people who, need wheelchair accessible trails so that they can be on all those kind of things. People don't think about that because, we center thin, able-bodied, affluent, like you said, even talking about the finances of it, right? So affluent, rich, thin, able-bodied people are often centered when it comes to travel and pleasure and those kind of things. So this is beautiful.
Yeah, I'm really excited to do it. It's something I dreamed of, was traveling, but I never thought I'd have the opportunity to travel with other people who just want to accept each other and be happy and just live it up and go at the pace you need to go and be considerate of one another and not feel, rushed or anything, and just, get those experiences with other people that are there to make you feel good. And you don't have to worry about being shamed, because you're not going to be by yourself, and we'll be there to lift you up. We'll be there to make sure that no one treats you any kind of way. And so I wanted to just make a trip that I would have dreamed of. Like, wow, I just want to go with like someone who's just gonna accept me for who I am. I can just show up, be myself, and that's enough. And so this to me is just like the life, the opportunity of a lifetime. And I've already gotten to talk to so many people who are like, this is right up my alley. Like, I don't feel accepted, and I want to go on this trip though, because I just can feel the energy is going to be different. And that's my goal, is to just make it as positive, as the best experience it could possibly be, and just make sure everyone has a good time and feels really good when they leave that trip.
I love it. And I would think that just having this experience, like being able to do it, can activate so many other things for people to go out and pursue other things that maybe they thought they couldn't do, or they dreamt of, or it was just a fantasy in their head. But having the reality of, I'm going to Bali, in this body, I don't have to do this crash diet and like try to shrink and get all. I can go as I am today, going to connect with people who are going to support me. I'm going to support them. And that can just activate so many other things in the brain and in the mind around how you can exist in life just as you are.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm just going to keep it real. It's already done that for me. Just thinking like, wow, there was a time not too long ago where I thought having to be on oxygen was going to hold me back, because traditionally you can't take a traditional oxygen, tank onto a plane. And there are so many people like, that use wheelchairs or anything like that, that don't feel like travel is even an option. And so just to feel empowered, like, yeah, I'm going to go lead this trip. We're going to do some fun workshops, learn about confidence, take a photo shoot, do just some fun stuff, and accept each other for just what we are, like that. It's already given me more confidence than ever. Just like, wow, I'm doing this, and this is something I dreamed of, and this is something I was told I would never be able to do, but I'm doing it, and so can you.
I love it. I love it. And when I was looking at, in order to register, you also offer, people can use Affirm, payment plans. So that's another way to make it accessible. There's so many different things that when we talk about accessibility that people don't think about, there's financial accessibility, there's physical accessibility, there's even mental, emotional accessibility, if people are challenged in that way as well. And so I love that, all these different parts encompass making it as accessible as possible.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, the financial part is a huge thing for me. Like, I grew up in extreme poverty. I've been homeless. I've, dealt with things like that. And like I said, there are so many people I know that have been told this isn't even an option for you. But
Yeah.
this truly, I want it to be an option for anyone who wants to come. And I have some things in the works that I hope that are going to make it even more accessible for people, that I'll hopefully be able to talk about really soon. And so I'm really just trying to make this like someone's lifetime, a dream of a lifetime. So.
I love it. I love it. I also love how you're creating an opportunity for people to experience community, right?
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to go on a trip. It's a different thing to go on a trip and you stick out like a sore thumb and nobody else there kind of understands your experience. And even if they're kind of trying to be nice, they don't have the empathy that,
Yeah.
So having, all these different people from all these different lifestyles that know that this is an inclusive trip, this is a fat positive trip. Also, I could see how people would probably build community that could last a lifetime.
Yeah, I really foresee it being something that changes a lot of our lives. And the community is something that is just, it empowers, because for me, that finding that this community is what has empowered me to be able to even do what I'm doing. I had these dreams before, but knowing that people, wanted to listen to what I had to say, knowing people could benefit from hearing my struggles, like just simply telling them what I've been through could help somebody, just made me like, it made me feel like, what, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I need to put this message out there and help people, because even if I only have, whatever time on this earth, I want to make the most of it and help as many people as I can. So.
Yeah, and it matters that people don't feel alone, right?
Yeah.
While they're because that was something that we talked about at the beginning of your journey, where it was, okay, you got to a point where you started finding community at this pivotal point in your life, and just finding that community opened the door for so many other things for you. And so creating that space for people to find community and to have that collective care, I'm always all for that. So I love that.
Yeah, and for me, body acceptance and like, realizing accepting myself is what led to even more confidence. I always assumed
Mm,
confidence was something that stood on its own, but honestly, accepting myself has made me the most confident I've ever been, because I'm just like, look, this is who I am and I love who I am. And if you don't, that's okay. I'm not for everyone. Everyone's not for me, but I'm going to be here and I'm going to do my thing, and hopefully it'll, reach the right people.
I love it. I love it. Now, I know we're going to wrap up in a little bit, but I did want to ask you about, I think you described yourself as a serialpreneur,
Yeah.
right? What so what does that mean for you?
Yeah, so serial entrepreneur is like a term that I became familiar with once I started Jbay Productions, and then I started something else, and then I started something else, and wanted it to all kind of be the same collective idea, but I had so many different, things I was working on. So for me, I actually started working at the age of like 7 years old, is when I first started doing odd jobs and hustling to try and help, provide for myself and even my family at times. And so for me, I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit in me, but I never, I've always known that I like to do a lot of things, but I never really understood until I started Jbay Productions. And then shortly after, I was like, well, I want to help other creators now, and I want to help other people. There are so many women who reached out to me saying, I want to be a plus size model. I didn't think I could because I don't look a certain way, but I saw you. How did you do it? And so I
Hmm.
started wanting to coach. And so, I started, one page, and it's turned into now Influencing by Jae, but I've gotten to help a bunch of creators, and help them with different things. And so then I kind of, after that, I was like, well, you know what? One of my huge dreams has always been to have a plus size apparel line. But I knew that I wasn't right in the financial state to really launch something of my own with my own vendors and such. So I started doing print on demand, which is how I made this shirt. And even that just started, sorry, one second. So even that just started to help other people. And so that started Fab Fat Fierce Apparel. And so I have all these different segments that I kind of work on. And so collectively they're just, under Jbay Productions LLC. But that's where I really think I'm a serial entrepreneur, because I want to do multiple things. I have new things in the works and things like that. And so collectively I have multiple segments that I'm trying to hit. And so to me, an entrepreneur is, more just like running one, or but serial entrepreneur is running several different things or several different platforms.
I love it. I can relate. So I when you're a creative and you're like ping, 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 like idea, idea, idea. So do you
Yeah.
have a favorite? Like, these are your like brain babies and your creative outlets. Do you have a favorite?
I honestly would say my favorite right now is Influencing by Jae, getting to work with other creators, because I love empowering other people to show them like this isn't something only I can do. You could do it too. If you set your mind to something, you can do anything you want to achieve in this life. So being able to work with them and seeing them succeed, like I started this trip, and then I saw another person, that an influencer I knew, that I was like, they would be really good for this opportunity, and they just started their own trip and just they sold, like, they confirmed their trip within 5 hours. And so now they're going on a trip, and they're going to start a community where their people can go and feel accepted, and maybe they have the same interests. And so helping those other people know that this isn't, anybody can do it. And that is what really drives me. And I love getting to help others. And I'm actually starting to work on courses now. So I want to help even more people, like on confidence, or on building a small business, or starting an Instagram account, which, that you want to make money from, and how to monetize it. So honestly, with my background, my degree is in business. It kind of
Mhm.
just drives me. I really love figuring out new strategies and the algorithm changes and all of that. So I really love getting to work with other creators and people who want to be plus size models or work with brands.
I love it. I love it. Like the common thread that I hear through between the trips, you creating Jbay Productions, the coaching, the courses, you connecting with community. Like the common thread I hear is that you just enjoy helping other people, and
Yeah.
you're not stingy with the knowledge or the information. It's like, if I know, then I'm going to share it with you. And I think that just that's going to continue to cycle back around, and you'll continue to be blessed for that. So I love that you approach business and just all the things that you do in that way, which is, if I can help you, then I will.
Yeah, I just feel like there's so much around. There's so much for all of us, so we can all achieve, we can all succeed. And there's no reason to hold someone else back. And, and so if I can help you, then you're going to help someone else. And then that's just helping us all. So, especially in this community, like we have a lot of, representation, but the more we have, the better. This movement is something that is changing the world, and it's changing the way fat people are treated, and it can, be even better for us. So if I can empower someone to go do that for someone else, then by all means, I'm all for that, because, we can just help each other. And I know I've been helped in numerous times, and I've had people and mentors that have helped me. And so if I can be that for someone else, or if I can even just give them a tip, lead them in the right direction, or even just empower them to say, like, you know what, go for it. No matter what, I'm here if you need advice. You need to go for it, though. If you feel that you want to do something, just do it, because that confidence will just keep building and building. And once you start, there's never a perfect time. You got to just start. And so once you do, though, it'll just snowball. And I love seeing that people's lives can change through just having community and just doing some of these things, or knowing that some of these things are even possible for someone like them.
Yes, I love that whole abundance mindset, just that there's enough for all of us, and you knowing that and affirming that by sharing with others, right? And giving out, and then more coming to you, and these other opportunities like this travel opportunity and all these other things coming your way because you're giving out. So I love that abundance mindset that you have. So before we wrap up, tell the people where they can find anything you have going on. I know we talked a little bit about the travel. You got a lot going on, but which is all good. Yeah. But what you have going on and where they can find you and connect with you.
Yeah, so you can find me on social media. Instagram is at Jbay Productions. And then my other Instagram or TikTok and YouTube, you can find me at Jbay Official. And then if you want, to shop some Mixed and Proud merch, or even some fat, I have some Fab Fat Fierce merch, things like that. You can check out Fab Fat Fierce apparel. I have taken a little bit of a pause on it, but I'm coming up with some new designs to roll out soon. And then if you're interested on going on my Bali trip next May, body positive, size inclusive trip, I would love, love, love for you to join. And you actually have until March of next year to get it all paid off. So it's nothing you have to rush and pay right now, but you can pay it over time. And I would love for you to come, just live it up with us, accept yourself, live your best life with me. And if you're a creator, or you want to get into plus size modeling or anything like that, then you can check out Influencing by Jae Bae, where I help other creators, give advice, share tips, and all kinds of stuff like that.
Love it. And so with the Influencing by Jae Bae, you also coach and hold people's hand and kind of help them through the process as well?
Yes, I have talent management that I offer. And so I'll help reach out to brands for you, build all your promotional materials, give you the contacts to a bunch of top brands you're looking for. Or if I don't have the contact, I can find it for you. I offer media kits, anything like that, to just get your foot in the door, or even brand pitch templates that'll literally be a template you can copy and paste and send to someone that you want to work with. Everything like that and in between. And I'm building courses right now as well that will be out soon as well, so that you can just buy a course and learn it all at your own pace. So
I love it. All the things. Yeah. All the things. Queen Jae'Lynn is over here doing it all, y'all. Yeah. I love it. And it's been an honor and a pleasure to just talk to you and hear a little bit about what you're doing and your journey of how you got here, and your evolution and your motivation for all the things that you do. And I definitely appreciate you sharing your time with us and your knowledge and your story. Is there anything that you'd like to say to the listeners and viewers before we close up?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Ivy. It's been a pleasure. I love what you're doing, and I'm just really excited for this. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll get to you. Or if you have any questions, slide into my DMs. I'm always available to help you, whatever you need.
Yes, absolutely. If you have questions, put them in the comments. We'll snatch them up. And you can always, contact Jae'Lynn directly as well. But thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for being part of Friday Fat Chat. I am Ivy Felicia, the founder and creator of Fat Women of Color. And it's been a pleasure to have you joining us again for Friday Fat Chat. Remember that we are sponsored by CalabashTea.com. You can visit Calabash Tea online 9. They just opened up again in DC, y'all. So Calabash Tea Room is open this weekend. They had a test room. So they're open. So if you are in the DC area or you visit or you tour, go on calabashtea.com, find out about their location, visit, tell them that Fat Woman of Color sent you. And if you order something online, you can use FWOC and get a discount. And make sure that you watch this episode. So please help us by liking, subscribing, or sharing. It tells the interwebs that you appreciate the content that we create here. Repost this video, someone else that you know that can benefit, maybe someone who's looking for extended sizes or who's looking to get into modeling or any of the things that Jay shared here today. Email this out, share this out, definitely like it and subscribe to the channel so that when we have other things coming up, you won't miss out. And in the meantime, peace, you all. Thank you.